Welcome to the online tutorial. It's a step-by-step tutorial. Now let's go ahead and get started. So let's say that you have not even downloaded the extension. How do you do it? You go to the Google Chrome browser and you type in this keyword phrase. It says Google Meet Breakout Rooms by Robert Hudek. And then you should see this link right here, Google Meet Breakout Rooms by Robert Hudek. Go ahead and click on it. Now when you click on it, you should see this extension. It's a purple B, Google Meet Breakout Rooms by Robert Hudek, and go ahead and install it. Now I've already installed it, so let's get started. Now over here, this is what the extension looks like. I know that there's a lot of features here. Now it may appear to be a little bit intimidating, but in this tutorial I'm going to show you, actually it's very easy to use. Just like a lot of products, there's an 80-20 rule. 80% of the people will only use 20% of the features, and that's the exact same thing here. Now let me go ahead and prove that to you. In 60 seconds, I'll be able to demonstrate that you can take a brand new extension, no data in it whatsoever, go through the setup process, actually get it all up and running, everything all together in less than 1 minute. Let me show you how that works. So here's my timer over here, and I'm going to walk you through the steps. So I'm going to click right now to start. So I'm going to go to the Courses tab, and I'm going to click on the green button to add my course. So I'll say it's Algebra. And I'll click on the blue button, which is Save. I don't need a description. Now I'm going to go to the Rooms tab. I'm going to find my course, Algebra. I'm going to click on the green button 3 times, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to give it a name 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to click on the blue button to save it, and the extension will give me all these links for free. Now I'm going to go to the Meet tab. I'm going to start my class. So I'm going to find my course, Algebra. I'm going to choose 3 breakout rooms. I'm going to say both. I want everything to open up all at one time. The main room plus the 3 breakout rooms. So let's go see how that works. So let's see how we're doing on time. And there we go. We can go ahead and stop it. 48 seconds. So that's pretty good, right? It's very easy to get this thing up and running. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at what we have. On the right-hand side is the main room. It says main. The tab will say main. And then there's 3 dots here. Why are there 3 dots? These 3 dots correspond to your audiovisual control dots. So we have the speaker on, the microphone is off, and the camera is off. But what happens if I turn the microphone on? Well, then you have 2 green and 1 red. What if I turn everything on? Then I'll have 3 green. So you get the idea how that works. Now that's very useful because when you cycle between the different tabs, you'll see the new updated audiovisual controls on the active tab. So you see it over here in room number 1. All these audiovisual controls are on. It's green, green, green. I can turn that off. Now the typical audiovisual settings for monitoring your breakout rooms is green, red, red. So that means your speaker is on and your microphone is off and your camera is off. And the reason why you have that is because you do not want to disturb the breakout discussions unless you want to jump in and redirect. Okay, so you can cycle through the rooms this way. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to show you how you can set up your assignments for the breakout room. So I'm going to stop the video right now, and I will, actually before I do that, let me show you one key feature. This is a new feature in the extension. It's the online help, and I'm going to use the online help as I go through this online tutorial so that you can go back and forth and you can see how useful the online help is. So if you have just a specific question, you can go directly to the online help right here as an example, and then change or update whatever you need to do. Okay, so let's just do a quick review of what I did because I went through very, very quickly. Remember, I got this thing all done in 48 seconds. So what did I do? I went through this setup right here, and then I went through steps number 1 and 2 of teaching the class. So let's do a quick review of what I did. So in the end of your courses right here, I have screenshots on the online help. Now, how do you get to the online help? You're on the extension and you click on the yellow question mark, and that'll take you directly to this online help. It'll create this tab for you. So I have screenshots right here, and it's very simple. You just click on the green button, it'll add a row, and then to save it, click on the blue button. If you want to delete, it's from the bottom up, and it's drag and drop. You can move classes around. If you want to delete this one right here, geometry as an example, you would drag that down to the bottom and then click on delete. Okay, and let's go back. So that was the first step, and then you can create breakout rooms. So we went to the Rooms tab, and I have it circled here. You click on the Rooms tab, and we followed this step right here. By far the simplest way is just to leave all of these blank, and then click Save, and the extension will give you, go out to Google and request those meet links, and then populate it for you and save it for you here in this extension. Now the rooms themselves can be any name you want. I used 1, 2, 3 just to make it simple, but let me just show you how you can give it a little bit more descriptive name. So, excuse me, let me go back here. So I'm going to go to the Rooms tab. I'm on the Rooms tab right now. I had 1, 2, 3. Maybe I want to call it Apple, and then Orange, and then Banana. And then right before I click Save, let's go ahead and take a look at the tab's name. So it says 1 here, 2 here, and 3 there. Now the second I hit Save, those tab names will change. There we go. Apple, Orange, and Banana. So I recommend that if you want to change the names, please do it before you assign the students. If you assign the students, change the name after you assign the students, then they would be assigned to different names, and so you would have a little bit of a disconnect. But if you want to change the names, you could definitely do it, but just please do it before you assign the students to the class. You could also add new students, new classes as you go along. So let's just say that you originally open up the main room first, and I'll go through that. Let's just say you open up the main room first, which is really the typical situation for most teachers. We'll say we're going to start the class. We open the main room first. Now you teach the class for a while, and then you decide, well, okay, now is an appropriate time to break out into smaller groups for discussion. So at this point, you could say you want to open up the breakout rooms. Now I'm just going to say 3 as an example. So at this point, I can click on either breakouts or both. Like I said, you can open up both. It will not open up a double main room. So we'll just click here just because it's more semantically in line with what we're doing. All right, so I opened up 3 additional breakout rooms, but behind me, behind the first breakout room is the main room, so things aren't really organized the way we want it. Not to worry. We'll click on the top second button from the right, this red button right here, and this will retile everything. So let's just click on it right now. So it just retiles it in the proper order. Now let's just say that we want to add 2 more breakout rooms, and then you could do that. You could add 2 more. Maybe you want to add in blueberry and then strawberry. All right, so then we click Save, and the extension will give us those links. Now you notice when I click Save, it did not overwrite those previous links. If I want to get rid of those links and create a brand new one, how do I do that? I will triple click. So if you want to use the cursor and move it around, you might get frustrated because like, hey, I can't move it. So I apologize for that. It's part of this drag and drop functionality where you can move things up and down. Like for example, if I wanted to delete Banana, I would drag it all the way down to the bottom, and then I would click on the delete button. Now I don't want to do that, but that's how you would do it. So then how do you highlight everything so you could delete it? You click on it 3 times, 1, 2, 3, boom, and that highlights everything, and then you can click delete if you want to, but I don't want to, so I'm going to undo that, and then I will save. So now I have 5 breakout rooms plus my main room. Please don't change the name of main. Main is the main room, so just leave it the way it is, and please leave it in the first order. All the rooms are opened in this order right here. The first is main, second is main is the main room, and then after that are the breakout rooms. So you have Apple, Orange, and so on. So I added 2 more breakout rooms. Now I said I only wanted to open 3, but let's just say I wanted to open 4. Which one would get opened? It would be blueberry. Let me show you how that works. So I'm going to click right here, and I'll say, well, this time I'll click on both, just to show you that the main room doesn't get opened twice, and also the breakout rooms don't get opened twice. All right, so again, things are not sized the way we want it, no big deal. Remember our best friend over here, this red pinkish color icon, retile. We'll click on that, and then boom, everything gets retiled the way we want to. If this extension is too large, then we click on this arrow right here, and it will minimize. Okay, so we're in good shape right here. We see all of them. The first one's main, Apple, Orange, Banana, and Blueberry. Okay, so let me take a look again at my online help and see how we're doing. We entered the courses, we did all that. And what else did we do? We created the breakout rooms. I went over all this. This is by far the most common way. Just use these links. There's also functionality for creating nicknames, but nicknames is a paid feature, so you'd have to check with your school to see if you have that ability. If you do, then just enter a nickname and also make sure the nickname is unique. A code is really nothing more than the last 343 format. So for example here, this is meet.google.com / I got 3 characters here and then -4 -3, that's it. So you can enter that if you want to instead of the meet. HTTPS, so the whole URL. You could just enter the last 12 characters. But again, this is the most common way of doing it. Just leave it blank and save. If you want a brand new link, you triple click it 1, 2, 3 times, click it, and then delete it the next time, and then you click save, and then the extension will give you a brand new link. All right, so I have something here for Google Classrooms. If you are a Google Classroom teacher, what you'll do is you'll go to your Google Classroom page, and you'll see this feature here on your Google Classroom page where you open up your Meet. You'll copy the link, and then what I need you to do, please, is just to paste it right here as your main link. That way the extension knows what your main page is and everything will be tied together. Okay, so let's go back. And then we went over this, enter your courses, create the breakouts, customize your settings. For the most part, you could just accept everything that's in the settings section. The one thing that you may want to change would be changing from tiles. This is tiles. These are all independent windows to tabs. So what does that look like? Let me just shut everything, close those windows, and then I'll reopen it in the tiled format, a tab format, and then you can see how that looks. And I have a maximum here of 15 tabs per window. You can change that if you want. So let's go over here, and let's say we want to open it up all together as tabs. And so I'm just going to add a convenience, say both. And then you can see that you have one window with all these tabs in it. And in this case, it's very helpful to look at the tab itself. The 3 audiovisual dots will tell you what your status is of your speaker, microphone, and camera. So right here, I'm turning this on right here for my camera for the main room. And then Apple's here. Let's see, go back to the main room. Okay, so that's on, and then Apple, and then orange, and you can just grab this if you want to, move it all the way to the end, and then there's blueberry. And you can see in the middle, these are all red, 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 which is probably what you want, because you don't want to have sound interference from the other breakout rooms. Otherwise, you just hear cacophony, you hear chaos, okay? So that's what that is. Let's go back to the online help, and let's see what's going on here. We accept all that. You could read through some other not so commonly used features. You could use those if you want to. And then this is a really important feature right here. It's one and done. You only do it once. So it's changed the Google Meet layout, and it's this triple dot. You'll click on that, and you'll look for this section right here. It says change layout. Click on that, click on tiled, and you want this all the way over to the right, 49. And then you're done. You never have to touch that again for the rest of your life. Okay, so it's one and done. And why do I need that? I need that so that when the students enter, I could see all the students in this layout. And I need that, and I'll show you in a second, when we do the assign the breakouts, I need to see all the students here in order for me to list them down here. All right, so that's one and done. Set up. 4. Now let's go over here, confirm your Google account. It's just a little bit easier. It sounds more complicated than it is. Google pays close attention to the very first Google account that you log into on your Chrome browser. And that is considered to be your primary account. And that is also considered to be the account that quote unquote owns these links. So for example, if you logged into this account here, account number 1, let's say, and you created all these breakouts, and then you logged out of everything, and then you logged all the way back in with a different account, then Google Chrome may complain and say, I can't open those links because you don't own those links. So how do you solve it? You click right here, and then you click on this blue button, and you'll see a list of all your Google accounts that you logged into. Now remember, the very first one you log into is your primary account. So, and there's no way that I know of to just move it to the top. So I did some research on this. What I found out is that you just log out of everything, unfortunately, and then you log back in again in the correct order. The very first account you log into is your primary account, your teaching account. Now, this could come into play if you teach at home and also at school. You go back and forth. Maybe on your home personal computer, the first account you log into is your own personal account, and then you try to use the exact same links that you used at school. You may run into a problem, and that's what this is. It's easy to solve. What do? You take a look at this. Oh, that's my wrong account. So you click on it, click on the blue button. It'll take you to a Google page, and you log out and you log back in again. Your Chrome browser should remember all of your passwords, so it's not that big a deal to log back in again. It would automatically populate your password for you, or at least that's my experience. All right, so we go over here, and then we selected the course. This is what we did. We went to the Meet tab. This is your drop down. You select your course. You select the number of breakouts. I went through a demonstration where I showed that you can open up the main room first, right? And then you can later on open up the breakouts second. And if you open up the breakout second, you'll need to click on this, you'll want to click on this red button here to retile. Now, when you first start out, you could also click on both, which will open up both your main room and your breakout rooms. But my experience from talking to teachers is they mostly open up the main room first, and then they'll open up the breakout room second. In that case, you can either choose breakouts or both. All right, so it may sound a little bit confusing, so just click on whatever button you want. So if you just want to open up the main room, just open up the main room. If you want to open up both, you click on both. If the main room's already open, you want to open up breakouts, then just click on breakouts, okay? It's one of those things that sounds more complicated than it is. It's actually very easy. All right, so then we're going to go to, we went through starting the class. Now the very next section is we are going to assign breakouts on the ad hoc basis. That means like during class, you just on the fly will assign students to breakout groups and send them the links. I'm going to stop the video now. I'm going to simulate those students on my second computer, which is right next to this main computer here, my main computer here. I'll be back in just 1 second. Okay, everybody, I'm back. I simulated 6 students, so let's go take a look at them. They are all in the main room, and they are John, Sally, Amy, Sam, Yvonne, and George. And I am also in the main room. Now, this is one thing I want to point out to you. You as a teacher will be in every single room, the main room plus all the breakout rooms. Now, I will just sort of colloquially say that you enter the breakout room and you leave the breakout room, but that's just for your focus here on the slider. In actual fact, you're in all the rooms, but you're muted in all the rooms except for the room that you're actively engaging. Okay, so let's go take a look at how we can assign these students to the breakouts. First of all, let's look at the help menu, assign breakouts. So we'll click on that link, and then it tells us we need to click on this link right here. It says assign breakouts ad hoc. And then we'll see this display. We'll see a list of all of our students, and then we can repeatedly click on the random assign button if we want, just to keep giving us a new random assignment until we see something that we like. And if it's pretty close, then we can actually drag and drop and rearrange the students by hand. And then after that, we'll click here, and then there's some copy and paste. So let's walk through that process. Here we go. We're going to follow the instructions. I'm going to click right here on this button, and then it'll open up below. And sure enough, we'll see all of our students here, Amy all the way through Yvonne. Now, if you don't see your students here, that could be due to a couple of reasons. One reason is you may not have adjusted your layout. Now again, this is in the setup. You just do it once and you never ever have to go back here again. So you would go to the change layout and you click tiled and move the slider all the way over to 49. Now, even if you did that and you don't see all of your students, it could be because the main room window is too small. So for example, if it's really, really small like this, you would not be able to see every single one of your students in this display, which means that the extension also would not be able to read every single one of those students. And let me show you that. So if you click here, then, oh, the only one I can see is Sam, and the other ones are not listed. So that's no problem. It's really easy to fix. All you do is just grab this corner and stretch it out. You can make the main room big temporarily just for the purpose of being able to assign your students. So you'll click here, and then voila, you can see all of your students. And so we'll just keep it big here for now while we assign the students, and then we can minimize it or shrink it to an appropriate size after we assign the students. So we're going to click here on the randomly assign button, and then they will magically appear within the breakout rooms. Now, if you don't like this assignment, you could click on the button again, and click on it again, and click on it again as many times as you want to. It's free. And so if you're pretty close and you feel like, well, maybe I want to adjust a couple of groups and then everything else looks pretty good, like for example, maybe you know that Sally and Yvonne are really good friends, so you want to put those two together, and George and Amy are here in the orange room, and then you say, oh, well, maybe Sam and George actually are better pair, so then you move those appropriately. Okay, so now you have the groups the way you want them, and we'll follow the instructions. It says click right here, so let's go do it. We'll click there, and then the instructions are very clear. You just click here, and here in the help menu tells you after you click that you will need to paste, and I gave you a screenshot of exactly where you need to paste, and you'll paste in the main room. Okay, so let's go do that. We'll click here. All right, it's on our clipboard, and then we'll click here in the chat box in the main room, and then we'll paste it. And then we'll follow the next step, and we'll click here, and then we will go to the chat box, and we will paste it there. So what do we see? We see two different groups, two different listings. The first listing is the listing of all your breakout rooms and how you get there. You click on this link, and then you can get to the breakout room. And then the second listing is just a listing of all of your breakout rooms and the students that are in those breakout rooms, that are assigned to those breakout rooms. So Sam and George are a team, and they're in the breakout room Apple, and John and Mary are a team, and they're in the orange, are assigned to orange, and Yvonne and Sally are a team, and they're assigned to banana. So what do the students do? Well, they see all of this. This is in their chat box. They see all of this, and they'll see that, for example, if I'm Yvonne, I know that I need to click on this banana link, and then I will immediately be transported to the breakout room banana, and so on. Now, if these students accidentally click the wrong link, it's no big deal. They just close that link that the meet that they get transferred to, and then they will click on the correct link again. All right. One other thing I want to mention is that if a student is using a mobile device, then they will actually have to leave the main room to go to the breakout room. So that's no big deal. I've done that before. I've had students who, for one reason or another, are on their iPhone or tablet, and it works just fine. Now, for the rest of the students, they can stay in the main room, and I allow them to stay in the main room if they want to. If they're on a computer, they're able to do that, and I will ask them to mute their microphones. If they don't, then I'll mute it for them in the main room. Okay, so away we go. We're ready to move on. One other thing I want to say is there's a note here for a 500 character limit from Google Meet. This is not my limitation, it's the Google Meet limitation, that if you have more than 500 characters, let's say that you have lots of breakout rooms or you have lots of students, it's possible that you could exceed the 500 character limit for a single copy and paste. But still, that's no big deal. All you do in that case is you wouldn't be able to use this button, but I list it out for you, and then you can highlight with your cursor maybe like 7 or 8 lines, which should be fine, and then you would copy and paste it in here. just like we did before. Now, you just do it in 2 or 3 chunks. It's no big deal. Okay, but I'm gonna, if you do exceed the 500 character limit, I will give you notice in red characters, so you cannot miss it. All right. All right. So let's take a look what we're going to do next. Oh, there are actually 2 different ways of assigning breakouts. The first way is probably the most common way. It's ad hoc. You would just do it on the fly. But some teachers will pre-assign breakout rooms before the class starts. They know in their mind that they want to have these students work together, and you could do that as well. So let's take a look at that in the help menu. So we'll go back to the main links, and here we are, assign breakouts pre-assigned. So we'll click on that, and what does it tell us? It says, well, we'll click here and it opens it up, and then we'll click and paste. And what we're clicking and pasting is the first thing we pasted before, which is your address, the link for your breakout rooms. And then I'll show you the next step, which is different. So let's do the first step here in the pre-assigned. So what we'll do is we'll copy this, and then we'll go to the chat box and we'll paste it. And you'll see this is exactly as the first step for the ad hoc, exactly the same. So the only place that these 2 methods differ is that the teacher ahead of time will already decide what students go to what breakout room. So the teacher could write this up in Microsoft Word or any text editor. Let me show you how that could work. So I'm on the Mac, and I'm going to use this text editor here, and I will just freeform write whatever I feel like is an appropriate group. But just to keep things consistent, I'll make it the same. So we'll say the Apple group, and you could type it in any format you want. You could put colons, you could put dashes, you can add words, it doesn't matter. The only thing you're doing is you're just writing information that you want to send to the students so they know, oh, I'm in this group. So this is all free form. So you could say Sam and George. And then you could say orange, and then you'll say John, Amy, and then the next one would be banana, and you'll say that is going to be Yvonne and Sally. So you can see, you can just write this up however you feel like. It's all free form, and then copy everything, and then you will paste it here. And again, the 500 character limitation applies. This is a Google Meet limitation, it's not mine. So if you copy and paste and you see that some of your lines get clipped, that's because you ran up against the 500 character limit. Still no big deal. You just, in that case, you would just copy and paste in maybe 2 or 3 chunks, and then you're good to go. All right, so let me close that down because I don't need this. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video. I'm going to start it up again, but in the meantime, I'm going to simulate the students actually entering the breakout rooms. Now, again, these are all simulated students. If this was an actual teaching environment, I would require all the students to turn on their cameras so I could see them just the same way as if I was teaching in class. I wouldn't allow a student to hold a notebook up in front of their face and not allow me to see them in a physical classroom. So in the same way, I don't allow them to block me from seeing them on their camera. So everybody needs to turn their camera on so we can see them, so we can simulate this, so we can experience this as closely as possible to a physical classroom. And then when I talk to them, of course, I also turn on my camera. So anyway, I just want to point that out. So if you're wondering, like, why I don't see the students, these are all simulated students. Okay, so let me stop the camera, the video right now, and I'll start up again in a moment. I have the main room here. The students are still in the main room, and they are all muted. And then they clicked on their links, and they entered the different breakout rooms. So we have Sam and George and Apple, John and Amy and Orange, and we have Sally and Yvonne and Banana. Now, at this point, I'm going to let's go back to the help menu, and we'll see what's the next step. And the next step here is navigate rooms and control the audio visual. This is really a lot of fun, and I think you'll enjoy this. So we'll click right here, and I'm going to expand this image so we can see it a little bit clearer. So what we're looking at is the slider. It's really the core of your navigation. So you'll have the left arrow here. This will move you one room to the left, and the right arrow will move you one room to the right. If you're already all the way at the end, then you'll circle around again. And in the middle is the name of your current room. And you have 3 audio-visual buttons at the bottom. You have the teacher's speaker is currently on in this example, and the teacher's microphone is currently muted, and the teacher's camera is currently muted. Now, it's important to note that all of the audio-visual controls for the slider as well as the broadcast are just the teacher's audio-visual. So in this extension, you do not have the ability to modify or control the student's audio-visual. You can't turn on or off the student's microphone or video or speaker. So just whenever you see any of these audio-visual controls, just remember this is yours. This is only yours. This is the teacher's speaker, microphone, and camera. Okay, so let's go take a look at this in action. Well, before we do that, let's look at the help menu, see if there's anything else going on here. So this tells you how you can move between the different rooms. Now, the way the slider is designed is that you're basically changing your focus from one room to the next room to the next room for audio-visual. Now, again, this is your audio-visual. You will always be able to see all of your students all the time. You'll always be able to see that. But this is your audio-visual, okay? So when you're in a particular breakout room, normally you'll have this combination. So you can observe and monitor. So you want to be able to listen, but you don't turn on your microphone, you don't turn on your camera. Why? Because you don't want to disturb the discussion. Right? So you want to just be able to seamlessly move in and out of the different breakout rooms just to make sure everybody's participating, they understand correctly the assignment, they're not running into any problems. Okay, so as you move between the different breakout rooms, your current room will follow these audio-visual controls. Now, all the other rooms will be turned off. So they will all be red, red, red. They will all have red for the speaker. You won't be able to hear them, and you won't be able to talk to them, and you won't be able to be visible to them. Now, why is that? First of all, because if you had the speaker on in all the rooms simultaneously, it would just be chaos. You wouldn't be able to focus in on what room you're in. So just out of convenience, what this does is it automatically turns off all the audio-visual in every room except for the room that you're currently focused in. Now, if you do want to talk to and listen in on all the rooms, you can do that, and that's in the broadcast section, which is, I'll go over that in just a minute. But right now, we're just focusing in on the slider. So as you move in and out of the room, the room that you leave will automatically be turned off, red, 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 and then the new room you move into will be whatever combination you have on the slider. So let's see how that works. So we're going to, for the purposes of demonstration, I'm going to minimize the control panel because it's quite large. Now, on the top right-hand side, there's a green button which will minimize and maximize. Okay, so I'm going to minimize here so I can easily navigate between the rooms without taking up too much real estate on the screen. And so let's take a look where we are currently. We're in the main room and we're green, red, red, and that corresponds to these dots here, green, red, red. And it also corresponds to those dots down here, green for the speaker, red, red for the microphone and the camera. Now, I encourage everybody to please, all the teachers to please try your best to use the audiovisual controls on the control panel to turn on your speaker and to turn on your camera and so on, just to get in the habit of using this so that you can rely on this for controlling your audio visual. Of course, you can directly click on the meet, but if you did that, like say here, and maybe I turn it off here, that will work certainly, but it will get you out of sync with the control panel. So try to keep everything controlled by the control panel. If this does happen, it's no big deal. It's no big deal at all. All you do is the next time you move between rooms, everything gets in sync again, and actually you can move right back again. So if you find that, oops, I accidentally turned this on here, I want to get things back in sync on the control panel, no big deal. You just click here and then click back again, and the control panel is back in sync. No problem at all. Okay, so let's go take a look how we want to move between the different rooms. Now, as I mentioned, typically you'll have it green, red, red. You'll want to just be able to monitor the different breakout rooms as you go along. So that's the status we have right here. So now let's just pretend that the students, these are all simulated students, they don't have cameras because they're not actual students. Otherwise, you would be able to see everybody, just like you would in a physical classroom. You could see in this one view right here, you can see your whole class, all of your students. Okay, so we're going to go here and we're going to click, and let's say that they're participating, everything's fine, we're listening in. They do not have any idea that you just are passing by. They have no idea that you've actually entered the room, all right, so to speak. Now, I've mentioned before that you actually are in every single room, but you're actually muted off, so nobody really knows that you're there. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next room, and we'll go to orange. And as we did that, you can see that this turned from green, red, red to red, red, red. And then this turned to green, red, red. So you can see that everything's working according to plan. So you could just cycle through all your rooms. Everything's looking good. All right, so let's just say that time has progressed and you're moving along, and you listen in on the Apple group, and you find that they're actually stumped. They hit the wall on something, and you feel like as a teacher now is an appropriate time to give them a helping hand. So you can turn on your microphone and turn on your camera, and then automatically you appear, and then you could chat with them for a while and see what they're up to, maybe ask them a few questions, give them a hint here or there if it's appropriate, and then you can turn that off and then move along. Now, one other thing I want to mention. So now let's move on to the broadcast. So the broadcast actually affects every single breakout room. Every single breakout room. This is broadcast to all breakout rooms. So let's say that here, there are some teachers that actually like to listen in on all the class breakout rooms. So you can do that. You can just click right here on the speaker, and you can see that all the breakout rooms have their speaker on. And let me get this more visible. You could actually see on the tab, it's a green, red, red, it's a green, red, red. So you know that everything's according to plan, the way you want it. And so you could turn that off again, let's say. All right, now let me give you another example of how you might want to use broadcast. This is probably a more typical example. Let's say that you gave your instructions and you found that maybe a couple of groups or more than one group is having problems, and maybe it's because your instructions weren't clear, they misunderstood. So you could turn on your broadcast, so you could turn on your speaker, your microphone, you could turn on your camera, and then you would appear in all the different rooms and they could hear you. Usually I'll do this first to get their attention, and then once I have their attention, then I'll turn on my speaker. And the reason why I do that is because otherwise I just immediately hear chaos. All right, so I want to get everybody's attention first, and then I can turn on the speaker. All right, so then at that point you can give more clear instructions. Or another example of how you would use breakouts, definitely you would use it in this case, is where it's time to go back to the main room. So you say, okay, hello everybody, let's wrap up, or maybe 2 minutes, give you guys another 2 minutes, and then make your way back to the main room. All right, so now you're ready to exit the broadcast mode. Well, how do you get out of the broadcast mode? Well, one way is obvious. You just click, 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 and you're out of the broadcast mode. But another way, which is kind of interesting, is you can click, 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 say you're on, and then the second that you move from one room to the next, then the slider takes over and you exit the broadcast mode. All right, so that's pretty simple. I think you just use it a couple times so you get the hang of it. Now, one other thing I want to mention, which you will find helpful, I believe, are these two different reports. And these are status reports. So we'll click on the first one and I'll expand it, make it bigger. Now, what this tells you is the status of all of your students. Where are they? So you can see Amy is in the main room. but she's also in the breakout room, and she was also orange, and she was also assigned to orange. And you can see actually everybody is where they were assigned, so there are no red lines. Now if somebody, let's say John, was in the apple room, but he was assigned to the orange room, this would be red. Or in some cases, some students never make their way into the breakout rooms. So maybe they're tired, maybe they're having a bad day, maybe they're confused. So you can see that immediately, and then you can go find them and talk with them and get them back on track. All right, so we can close that out. And then the next status report is the same information, but in this case, it's displayed from a room perspective. All right. Okay, now in the middle is a timer, and this is only for you. So you can set a timer as a reminder for yourself. Okay, this is a 15-minute activity, and you can start it. And this will count down all the way down to 0, and then it'll give you tones for 1 minute and 0 seconds when it's complete. Now, this is only for you. Now, I know Zoom actually has this capability in the different breakout rooms, and that would be nice to have that there. But I just want to remind everybody, all the teachers, this extension is only installed by the teacher. All right, so it's not a closed loop environment like in Zoom or Google Meet's own paid version of Breakout. So that's why this is only for you. But actually, I think based off of feedback from teachers, this gives you a superior solution to, say, Zoom and Google Meet's paid version. Why? Because you could take a look at this view, and you could see all of your students in one look, and it's very closely resembles how you would teach in a physical classroom. You would see all your students in the physical classroom in their different breakouts, and in an instant you could tell if somebody's not participating, they're not engaged, and then you can immediately go over there and give them a word of encouragement. Okay, so now let's get ready to finish up this tutorial. We'll go to the help menu and see what's left. And let's see, we covered the broadcast as well. Now let's go to the last step, number 6, mute and remove students. And we see this listing of all these different capabilities. You can mute in the main room, all the breakouts, all the rooms, and these are different steps you can take when the breakout sessions are over and when class is over. So let's go take a look at this in real life on the control panel. So we'll click right here and we'll open it up, and it'll say, let's say you want to mute everybody in the main room. Well, let me just take a quick break right here. I'm going to go and turn on the microphone for my simulated students in the main room, in the breakout rooms, so I could show you how that works. And I turned on the microphone for several students. Let's take a look. Now you can see here in this breakout room, several people are talking, and let's see what's happening in the main room. We have Amy, George, John. They all have their microphone on, and let's say that we want to mute them. How can we do that? Well, we looked at the online help. It told us we can go right here. So we'll click on this button here. It says mute all in the main room. So we'll just click it and see what happens. Okay, so the extension goes through and simulates key clicks for you. It will go ahead and open up that side window and click on the button to mute all the students. Now let's say that we want to mute all the students in, let me add one more student here. Okay, so let's say that you want to mute all the students in the Apple room. Now it turns out it's just Sam, but we'll do it. So let's move to the Apple room, and we'll look for the button that says mute all in this room only. All right, so we'll click on that and see how that works. Okay, so that worked. Now there's another option. It says mute all in all breakout rooms. So there's just 2 remaining breakout rooms where we have students talking. So it's in the orange room and the banana room. So let's take a look at that, and we'll click here. It says mute all in all breakouts. Okay, so once you click on that button, just hands off the keyboard, let the extension do its work, do its magic, and you should be in good shape. Now, everybody's muted, so I showed you how you can mute students. I think that can be very handy. Now, let's say that breakouts are over, you went through the broadcast, and you notified everybody. Hopefully everybody moved back to the main room. Now, if they are in both rooms at the same time, they would just be changing their focus from the main room, from the breakout room to the main room, or preferably, you would want them to actually leave the breakout room, and you can make that happen if they forgot to do it. So you can click here, it says breakouts over, remove all from all breakouts. So I'll click on that right now. Okay, so that worked fine. Everybody is removed from the breakout rooms. Now, let's say we want to hang up all of them. You can click right here and voila, they're all hung up. We closed the breakout rooms. We first removed the students and then we closed the room. Okay, now let's go back to the help and see what's next. So there's a couple things I want to cover for utilities, and let's look at this one, hide and unhide. This is a button where you can remove this, hide this toolbar temporarily, and then you can unhide it and you can show it again. So it's a toggle on and off. I'll show you how that works. So it's gone and then it's on again. And now let's look at the next utility, which is the retile. We went over this several times. It's the red one, and so we can retile. Let's see another utility. Did we cover this one? Yes, we covered this one, the min max. You can minimize or maximize the size of the toolbar, a control panel. So we did this. And let's see anything else. We have reports, so I'll show you how the reports work. They're very basic. They're all self-explanatory. You just click on it and you can download for you. So how do you get there? You click right here and you find a report that you want. You can just click on it and it will be downloaded for you. All right, and let's see what it looks like. Why don't we? So there it is. These are all the different breakout assignments, Amy and George and so on. Okay, now let's go look and see if there's anything else we missed. Export import. Okay, now the most common way of using the export import is this one right down here in the courses tab, all right? So I'm gonna show you that one. We're gonna go here to the courses tab, and what this will do is export all of your extension data. So what data are we talking about? It will export all your courses and all of your room assignments for all your courses. And that's very handy if you want to move between two different computers and you want to sync them up. You can export import. Maybe you have a home computer and a school computer, you could do that. Or let's say that for whatever reason you are planning to uninstall the extension and then reinstall it. Before you uninstall it, you can export it. Let me show you how that works. Or perhaps you just want it as a backup. Maybe you just want it as a backup. All right, so we'll click here and you'll give it a name. You could use My Breakout, but I'll just say Algebra. And then I'll export it. Now this will export to your download folder, and then I will show you how that works. So let's say that you made a mistake and you accidentally deleted that, and you save it and you go over here and you go, oh, where's my algebra? Everything's gone. Oh no, I'm in trouble. Well, we've already exported it, so we can import it. So we'll go over here and we'll choose our file. So we'll find it here in downloads, and we'll double click and we'll import it. And let's see what happened. Yep, algebra came back in, and then we have all the links and breakout rooms for algebra. All right, that's very handy. Now let's see, is that it? I think that's pretty much it. So thank you everybody for sticking around till the end. Let's have some fun at the end. Let's remove everyone from the main room. Why don't we? So let's say class is over, remove everybody from the main room. Normally they'll leave on their own, but if there are a few people hanging around, you can you can remove them. So we'll click right here and let the extension do its work. So goodbye, George, and goodbye, John, Sally, and that's it. Okay, so thank you very much. I hope you enjoy using the extension. I hope it's a big help to you. If you find a problem, you can send me an email, and I'll take a look at it. I'll work at it, try to fix it as fast as I can. And that's about it. Thanks a lot.